So for today's video, we're talking about the buffed Thor Ragnarok, and honestly this has been one of the more interesting champs to try to evaluate, because his buff made him very similar to what he used to be, just a bit more modernized, and his whole playstyle of just stun locking opponents is kind of there. His whole thing of just taking a while to get going, but once he is going, he's just like an unstoppable wrecking force is still there. What I really wish they addressed a bit more, though, was like the ramp up along the way just feels really not difficult to get through, but difficult in a competitive sense where you're not really able to have any utility pieces until you get those shocks online and stuff. And what I mean is, once he is going insane, he goes insane. It's just the process of getting to that. It leaves you vulnerable to a lot of the threats that you'd want to be countering in the science class and stuff. And so we're going to go look at a bunch of gameplay and stuff. And I do have collectives on my beta server now, which I'm going to keep saying because I didn't really want these on there originally because the beta map isn't updated to where the health pools are a bit more of an accurate representation yet. So instead we're going to go fight the second defender of the three groups. So this is a bit of like a war mini-boss size health pool rather than a BG's health pool, which I feel like suits Thor a lot more anyway, because this guy is focused a bit more on bigger health pools than BG's health pools, and we're going to see a couple fights from the 1.4 million health variety as well. And so here, I'm going to go ahead and go for the special 3. I should have done another special 1 instead of just keep continuing a combo. The reason I kept comboing was I thought that my power gain would just always be 3 bars of power it would give me, but instead it's only just, the power gain is just the amount of power that it takes to get you to max. It's not always 3 bars, and so I thought it would just be a lot stronger coming after the special 3, so you could have dropped in special 1 first, but yeah, basically, as far as this rotation goes, you're going to drop special 1s until you get your big combo power gain. And then once you get that power gain, most of the time you're going to drop a special 3. If it's a shorter fight, you can go for a special 2. Either one's going to give you a Fury. The special 3 is much better potency-wise and duration-wise, and you're going to use that more often, but the special 2 is decent as well if you just want that Fury out of the gate. And then after that, after your special 3 or your special 2, you're going to be hitting the opponent a lot, placing a bunch of armor breaks and shocks, doing a bunch of damage, and then your special 1s are going to be, of course, still giving you combo, but they're also going to be stunning the opponent if they have a shock on them. And that's basically what you're going to do. You're just going to keep hitting them with the special 1s until they die. And so we're going to go fight the 1.4 million health variety lizard now, and I'm probably going to use the special 1s appropriately, I believe. You want to get to 100 combo. Every basic attack gives you 2. And then if it's an interrupting attack, if it's interrupting one of the opponent's attacks, so if it's countering a special or a heavy, or if it's an intercept, it's going to give you 4 instead. And then when you drop the special 1, it gives you 21 combo. So I go from 71 there to 92, and then we just need to hit the opponent 3 more times, because one of them is going to be a countering attack. And then we're going to go for the special 3 as soon as we get to 3 bars of power, and we'll have a little bit of duration left on the power gain for after the special 3, but not too much. So this gives me a 30-second Fury, and the Fury is pretty potent. The special 2 Fury is 8 seconds, and it's less potent. So I think going for the special 3 is almost always better, unless you're just able to kill the defender very fast after the special 2, in which case probably do that. So then after you get your big Fury, that's going to let you place an armor break and a shock basically every time you I think it's like a 50% chance every time you hit the opponent. And then, like I said, if they are shocked when you drop the, or I think armor broken, when you drop the special 1, then you're going to get a stun on the special 1. And then that's just going to let you start stun chaining. And then you can get a lot of stand-up intercepts, of course, if the opponent's not at 3 bars of power, by just dropping a light attack after your special. And that was 1.4 million health in less than 80 seconds, which is very, very good. So let's talk about his utility pieces a little bit more, because they really don't exist until you get the shocks going, which is my biggest problem with him. He has 2 utility pieces. The first is the 50% endurance you get when you're dashing forward, which we're using against Spider-Woman here because it means we can get debilitates off of us faster, we can get the frickin' fumble off of us faster, but not as fast as you'd expect, because debilitates also increase the duration of later debilitates. And it's going to make it to where it feels a little bit minuscule. It's going to be a little bit better when we get to the Photon matchup later. But so that endurance, of course, is going to get the debuffs off of you a little bit faster. And this might not be the best example of that because, again, debilitates are messing with the potency at the end of the day. But once you get your shocks going, that's what's more important, because that's your better utility piece, in the fact that when the opponent is shocked, and for each shock on them, in your sig ability you're going to reduce the defensive ability accuracy that they have by 25%. And that's up to a max of 150. So if you have 6 shocks, 150% defensive ability accuracy reduction, which of course we're using against Spider-Woman here to make it to where she just can't evade, and then the opponent's dead. So why am I not insanely optimistic about this? Because, dude, 150% defensive ability accuracy reduction is insanely strong. The reason I'm not is because it takes forever to get that utility piece going. And that's a bit of a problem because you have to obviously deal with her evade along the way. That's why I'm hitting her while she's stunned for most of the fight. Because I can't prevent the evade until I, start getting the shocks online. So I have to worry about that while we're ramping up. But yeah, we're just going to hit her a decent bit while she's stunned, and as long as I manage the fumble timer, we don't need to worry about that. We can dex the special ones just fine. I probably should just go for a special one. I think this was when I still didn't understand exactly the potency of how the power gain would work. Because yeah, as you can see, once we actually trigger it, it's not very strong because it's only the difference between you and 3 bars of power is how much it actually gives you. So we're going to go for it. It's right here. It just adds a couple seconds to the fight time because of me doing that. But go for the special 3, places some shocks, so immediately we have the defensive ability accuracy reduction set after the attack, and now she's just not going to evade anymore, which is awesome. Go ahead and hit her block a little bit, push her to 2 bars of power, and then we can go ahead and basically kill her from here. I think I'd basically stun lock her, because we have the relic coming up too, and she's just taking a hell of a lot of damage, so yeah, the fight is basically over. We go for the special 1 here, and then we got the power gain going. Oh, I didn't actually full send. Am I going to full? Yeah, I'm full sending now. So we go for the special 1, and then of course we're going to trigger the power gain shortly after, and the Fury is going to expire soon, which would be basically when the rotation ends, because you're not going to be placing any shocks or armor breaks at that point. But yeah, that fight went down. And we can go use the defensive ability X reduction that of course I've been mentioning against Photon here as well, because that's going to be pretty helpful in shutting off of her debuff placements. But of course, until we actually get that going, it's just unfortunately we have to deal with all the debuffs, and she's going to go into a pure light form because there's nothing we can really do to stop it. And yeah, that's just my biggest problem with this champion, is like his utility is so strong once you get it, it just takes forever to get it. And it's not even about the speed of the fight. Like, I really don't care that he takes so long to ramp up. What really irritates me is he just has 0 utility along the way of ramping up. And that is a really big deal breaker for me with the champion, because if I don't have any of that defensive ability accuracy protection that I want to use him for his matchups for, and I just can't really use it until we get it online, then it's just feels a little bit redundant. That being said, though, like, just the fact that he's absolutely ripping things apart once you get that special 3 off is awesome. And yeah, the stun locks, the value you get with that defensive ability axe reduction is crazy. So we do go ahead and trigger her thing there, and then of course when we stun her here, I don't think she could have gotten untouchable there because of the fact that we put it on cooldown. But if she didn't have it on cooldown, we would have failed the untouchable from triggering off of that special 1 knockdown placing the stun. So now we're going to go fight High Evo. This is one of his better matchups because he's immune to Wither, so that means that you're going to slow how fast High Evo is getting his auto block back and stuff, and of course you're not going to deal with inequity from High Evo having the Withers on you, because that's his main debuff source, and that's how he's going to benefit from inequity, which is one of his best defensive qualities, is how much he can slow you down because of inequity. That goes for a lot of science champs, to be honest with you. But yeah, against Evo here, we're going to go ahead and go for my special 1 in a moment, and I think I triggered the auto block before we go for this special 3 and stuff. No, actually I don't. Maybe I do it here. No, we just trigger the power gain. So we're going to go for the special 3 in a moment, beta special 1 before that, and then after all that's said and done, we go for the special 3, we get the big fury and stuff, and yeah, now we're just locked and loaded. We're going to go ahead and trigger the auto block here, which I did finish the combo block because I forgot it was going to happen. And High Evo's auto block is not subject to defensive ability X reduction like most other champs have. But yeah, we can just start wailing on him here, and it's going to take forever for him to get his auto block back, because he gets it back faster if you have debuffs on you, but of course we're immune to Wither, so we don't need to worry about that. So I'm going to go ahead and drop the special 1 there, of course, and then we're going to go ahead and bait the special 2, actually, which is something like maybe didn't need to do, but, well, yeah, we triggered the auto block there, so I probably was just going to need to do it. This is the 1.4 million health Evo, I think, so yeah, this probably just made sense. We'll go for another special 1, and then go for another special 1 if I can. No, we just go for special 2 instead, and then of course he's going to die there. So, yeah, that's Thor Ragnarok. That's the gameplay I have on him. He's just, I like him. It's just a little bit tricky because, like, there's not a lot I can see him being, like, I'd go out of my way to use him for, because, that defense ability accuracy reduction is so strong. It's not limited to just Science Champs too. It's just Science is, like, one of the primary use cases for it because of the way their defensive design is. It's just the fact that you have 0 utility building up to that really irritates me, and it makes all those matchups you'd want to use him for really difficult. And that endurance is only 50%. It's just not strong enough to really justify it being mentioned that often. So yeah, like, where do I see him being good? Maybe VGs. I kinda doubt it. War, better, actually. I think they used to have some decent use cases in War, especially with how his damage cycle works and how those are kind of the health pools he wants to be fighting against. I don't think he's actually included in the War tactic, which kind of sucks, but I'm sure he'll get into one eventually. Colosseum, you could maybe get some nice stuff out of him before he just burns out of his rotation, because obviously you have a lot of sleep locks, and stun locks. You get some nice bars down quick and easy. I do think he'd be a decent Colosseum champion. We'll just have to see. I don't know if he has the range for Necropolis level health pools, but maybe. I probably should have tested him for that. I don't see it, but I feel like he could pull off some decent fights there, especially if he can get a little bit of cost advantage and stuff. But yeah, he's cool. I think if you really want to play Thor Ragnarok, you're going to get a lot out of this guy, but missing out on him if you didn't do the Twitch drops and stuff, I don't think is something you should be really concerned about. I don't think he's a game-breaking champion or someone that you should really feel insanely bad that you couldn't get. So anyway, thanks for watching the video, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Consider hitting like, sub, and hype if you did, and I would very much appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one.